Hey, security peeps. We are live with another edition of Breaking Into Cybersecurity. It is CISO Thursdays. I am Renee Small, cybersecurity super recruiter, helping awesome leaders hire great talent. And we have a full house of wonderful, amazing people, starting with my co-host, Chris Foulon.
Happy Thursday, everyone. Love this coming together of masterminds like our guest Olivia Rose and Mr. James Azar. I'm just blessed to be in their company.
I agree.
James?
Well, yeah, thank you, Chris. You have yet to give me such a great intro in like the year or so we've been doing this. So I'm humbled beyond any words. Thank you. And then excited for today's episode.
Excellent. So we want to introduce Olivia Rose, who is back. Olivia, it's been what, a year since you've been, I think it was longer than that.
Over that, about a year and a half.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
So CISO extraordinaire, Olivia Rose is here. Olivia, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody. So happy to be here again. I'm so glad that I was invited back after my show last time.
We love you. We love controversy on this show. Oh my God.
Have we talked about liberal arts degrees yet?
Always a good time. Always.
I recommend getting women's studies for your security career.
Always a good time on the show. Okay, so folks, before we get started, first and foremost, subscribe to our YouTube channel, please. We are growing on YouTube. Please subscribe there, and also to any of your listening platforms. Chris, you usually jump in and say something about the listening platforms.
We are on all the famous podcast platforms as well as YouTube, and follow us all on LinkedIn.
That's right.
Yeah, and don't forget, we're going to be moving, and pretty soon people will be able to transcribe our videos and all of our shows. They can check it out right on our website. You guys could go to cyberhubspodcast.com/breaking into cybersecurity, and you can put in whatever keyword you want, and it'll give you every single podcast and the time periods where we talked about it, which is going to be super cool. That's coming end of February. So 3 weeks and counting.
Looking forward to it.
Excellent. That is awesome. Awesome sauce. James. Well, first, Dutch Schwartz is saying, hey, friends. Hey, Dutch Schwartz.
Hey, Dutch.
We got to bring you back on, too. Everybody else, please chime in. Let us know where you are viewing or listening from around the country. Let us know what the weather is like. It is cold in Northern Virginia. It's, 17 degrees? It was like 12 degrees.
It's 14 this morning where I live.
It's crazy.
I did not move to Atlanta for cold weather. I just want to point that out right now.
That's what I said in Virginia.
You're in Atlanta, James.
Yeah, I did not move here for this cold weather. If I wanted cold weather, I would have stayed in Colorado. I migrated south for warmth, and I end up getting snowstorms of 3 inches that like paralyze everyone.
Yes, same.
And shut down DC.
I just want to point out that when I got my driver's license, my birthday's in November. I was 16 years old, and I did my driving test in the midst of 7 or 8 inches of snow on the ground. Like, that was my driving test with the DMV, because back then they were like, oh, yeah, so what if it's snowing? Today, my daughter, they get like 3 inches of snow. It's a snow day.
Yeah. Same in DC. It's like shocks me because I don't remember ever not having school in New York, specifically for like these little 5-inch and 6-inch. It was like, oh, that's easy. It's an easy day. But we can't handle the heat or the snow down here in the DC area. So, yep. And Steve Upshaw is always checking in from San Diego. Hey, Steve. And I see you're on YouTube. So really excited about that. Yay. Okay, so James, please kick us off with, the LinkedIn feed isn't streaming.
Telling you, I had issues with LinkedIn this morning. I couldn't get my practitioner brief. There was a big delay. But it is streaming because Dutch and Chris are seeing it. So
yeah, it's on there now.
So there's a slight delay with LinkedIn.
Never fun. So James, remembrance.
Yeah, today is Holocaust Remembrance Day. which, as a member of the Jewish persuasion,
Me
with
too. Me too,
family.
brother.
Thank you. And so it's great. The tribe's all over the place, but I love it. I've got the Israeli flag behind me today. Sorry, over this shoulder. Both of my wife, his family are all Holocaust survivors. Her grandma was escaped out of Austria at the age of 4 to South America. Today's the day that Russian forces and Western forces, American and British forces, got into Auschwitz and Birkenau and freed those camps. And just to share a little story, so I went to Auschwitz in January of 2013, I think it was. I was wearing 4 layers of clothing because it was really, really cold. And I was still freezing my tail off. And then I saw the clothes that the Holocaust survivors and people that were in those camps had to wear. And I wondered the kind of strength and survival that they had to have a layer of clothes that is, my t-shirt is more absorbent than what they've had on. And to have to sleep on hay bales. And let us not forget that. And I know we're on the alleged brink of war, but it took Russian and American troops to defeat the evil Nazis. So keep that in mind today and every day, and remember that it didn't take much to get people to turn on each other. So
yeah, my entire generation 2 generations ago were just wiped out. I'm very fortunate, I'm lucky to be alive. Due to my grandfather escaping, he was the only one in the family they could afford to send to England. So when you feel, and I'm just going to wrap up by saying this, it's only 80 years ago or something. I mean, it's
not even. Yeah, it's not even
bad, and people just don't remember it. And it's like, I think when it affects you, you start to see the signs of, it could happen again, and that's scary. So
the German, I was reading something this morning, Olivia, that the German internal defense minister, kind of like their DHS, was saying, we know that Germany today is no longer safe for yarmulke wearing Jews.
No.
We can no longer defend them.
No, I would never go, because my last name is Rose. It's short for Rosenbaum. Because when my grandfather came to England, they didn't know how to spell Rosenbaum, so they shortened it to Rose. I grew up very young with my father telling me, he was a professor of history, saying, whenever you travel, if somebody asks you if you're Jewish, you say no. It doesn't matter where you go.
Yeah, my granddad on my dad's side, both my parents' lineage comes from Belgium, and as many might know, Belgium was overtaken, and many of them were in internment camps. I specifically know that my granddad was on my dad's side was in internment camps, and it affects more people than people know.
Yeah.
I think World War II, the cost of World War II was over 90 million lives. Right? Between soldiers that perished in war, civilians who were murdered, the 6 million Jews who were executed systematically in the final solution. And the aftermath, the famine aftermath, the families that were wiped off. If you ever go to Israel and you go to Yad Vashem, there are entire family lineages that were wiped off, map just gone. It's today's the day we remember. In Israel, the Holocaust Remembrance Day is not in January; it's actually closer to May, and it's quite the spectacle to be in Israel for it. When you see the entire country stop for 2 minutes, everything stops for 2 minutes.
I grew up in Israel, and we used to just stop for 2 minutes, and it was such a powerful moment.
Yeah.
Very powerful.
So just remember that don't let, the Holocaust started by people turning on each other and thinking that your neighbor's your enemy, and that's not the case. We're all one community, and Doesn't matter who you vote for. It doesn't matter what side of the thing you're on. We're still human, and we have to share this planet, this earth, our communities, our streets, our roads, our restaurants, and our facilities and schools, and our kids. You know, they still go to the same schools, folks. So
Right.
get off Twitter, get off Reddit,
And
talk
live.
to people and live
And
life.
also liberal arts degrees.
And don't get liberal arts degrees. Yeah, go study a trade craft. By all means, go study a trade.
Do not go get a liberal arts degree.
You're better off going to become an electrician. You'll earn more money and you'll have fulfillment in your life. You'll have an actual purpose.
Yeah, the LinkedIn stream is still causing issues, but
Wow.
yeah, it's crazy.
I'm just going to say one thing. It's thanks to women's studies major that I managed to graduate college because it was the only one that would let me into their major to graduate.
But I think that's the problem, right? So I get that there should be like an entrance exam for being a medical doctor or a pilot, right? Because those are life-saving types of roles. But if you want to go and study to be an IT person or security or a developer or an engineer, like stop with all of these, like you've got to test in order to you know, score us. Let people, like, not everyone can get good grades in the traditional sense of way. Not everyone learns the same way. There's a set of like diversity of thought that like has to be accounted for here. And this whole like testing, and if you don't make it, then your whole life is ruined and your plans are destroyed and you can't go get your major. I think that's just, I don't want to say elitism, but I feel like that's just how colleges make more money, right? Go come and enroll in this major and pay us more money and get out of debt. I was listening to Tim Pool last night or this morning. He was talking about the amount of students who leave college with 150 grand in school debt, and they can't start families. They can't move out on their own because they're in debt. The moment they leave, they're already in school. They're enslaved to have to pay back their student loans. That just like, I mean, I didn't go to college. I'm glad I don't have that debt.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'll go study if my employer pays for it, right?
Every time I hear a story like that, I just shake my head. And the super sad part is that they can't get a job. Like the jobs don't align to the student loan debt. Like there's no correlation. Like, you know, you go to med school,
liberal arts degree, you pay 80 grand to be a barista at Starbucks. Yeah.
Why are we picking on liberal arts degrees?
That is
and
my thing,
he just does it every day.
I do it every day. I just do it every
You clearly have not been watching our show.
I just feel like there are some degrees where at this point they should just be outlawed, and high school counselors should do a better job at going to their students and going like, if you don't know what you want to be, go study a trade. Like go do anything. Be an electrician, a plumber, an engineer, a truck driver, learn how to move stuff within, you know, an airport. I don't know, do something until you figure out what you want to do in life. And it's never too late.
Oh,
Olivia, we're not picking on number one. We're not picking on you. And number two, James invited you this time, so he clearly.
I didn't do the invite. Chris did the invite. Chris did the invite. Hey, hang on. Chris did the invite, not me.
What, Renee, James has never obviously been on a webcast with me. This is the thing, James.
This is gonna be fun.
James. So in liberal arts, you understood that they're in liberal arts. It's more about reading and the softer skills, perhaps, and understanding theory. And yeah, those don't translate necessarily directly into a viable trade, like being a plumber. Absolutely. But once liberal art majors or people who are good and have those skills, I'm not going to just focus on people who get to go to college. Once those people with those skills, being able to theorize, compare, write efficiently, effectively, being able to emote and understand audience and targeting. Once they figure that out, how to apply those skills, they will succeed in any career they go into. For example, security. I'm a very good security practitioner. Why? I am not the most technical person in the world. Everybody knows this. I can't even set up my own Wi-Fi network, and I get confused when I have more than one monitor. It completely throws off my day. And I love email. I don't like IMs and Slacks. However, because I'm also old as dirt, but however, the skills I have from my liberal arts degrees allow me to be a dang good strategizer, communicator, influencer, persuader, writer, and all of the above. So put that in your pipe and smoke it.
So you are the first person to come on the show and articulate a direct experience from a liberal arts degree in that manner.
I was a women's studies degree, so the most useless.
I would disagree with that, James.
Who articulated it any better than Olivia?
Alan Alford has been on the show and has articulated it very similarly, and you didn't pick on him, but you're not picking on Olivia either. You're just picking on the degree.
I'm picking on the degree. Yes, I am. Because I feel like what Olivia just highlighted, and with all due respect, right? I feel like what Olivia just highlighted is kind of what I like to call kind of like, I have a few cartels I have like hashtags for, right? I've got the data cartels, that's one hashtag, right? Then I've got the SOC 2 cartels, that's another hashtag, right? Anyone ever seen a bad SOC 2 report? Nope, never. You've seen a bad SOC 2? Someone actually paid for a bad SOC 2?
How have you not seen a bad SOC 2 report?
I have never seen a bad SOC 2 report. In like 12 years, I've never seen one. I've always gone like spotless SOC 2 reports.
Oh, you mean of your own?
No, of like vendors, of like people I'm auditing. Like someone, like we're onboarding a vendor, and I'd be like, all right, let me see your. They'd be like, here's our SOC 2 report. Look at it, it's spotless. And I'm like,
okay. You're saying bad as in a sarcastic manner, meaning it's always clean and spotless. I thought you were saying you've never seen one badly done, and I'm like, I see badly done ones every day.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Well, actually, same thing.
Yeah. To me, the SOC 2 is useless, right? When someone sends me a SOC 2, I ignore it. It doesn't exist. It doesn't
mean anything.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. But then my third cartel is kind of like this liberal arts cartel, and I'll explain. All right, because I feel like everything Olivia just said could be taught in the process of learning an actual craft and skill in the university. It should be part of what we learn in high school. You shouldn't even have to go to college to gain those skills. It's the fact is that you end up having to learn life skills that you should have actually done in high school, but now you're $80,000-$90,000 in debt for learning life skills that really you should have gotten in high school. I think that's where my beef is.
Two things here, James. I think you're confusing life skills with needing to go to college.
All right,
you're making two.
No. So I don't think people need to go to college necessarily.
Right,
I think
I
think if our high school and middle school programs were more efficiently run, everything that you've just described should be part of a standard high school curriculum.
But this is the thing. That's your point.
Yep,
which I think
that is my point.
But the whole liberal arts angle you take on it doesn't make any sense. Well, because your point is that kids should be learning life hacks, life communication,
soft skills
in grade school, middle school, high school. Absolutely right. Then they don't even need to go to school. Absolutely right. But I think that's your.
I feel like the degree itself. So let me speak to the point of the degree, because you're right, and I'm glad we agree on some things. But here's where I think this is. I think this is it's a very expensive thing for most students to go and get a liberal arts degree to learn specific skills that, you're right, could make them very, very good at other things in life, but how many people actually walk out of that with that degree and end up going and doing something meaningful thereafter and don't fall into that? No,
Well, how
but
many
hang on.
people in general go to college and walk out and do something meaningful? I think college. I think we're agreeing on the same point. College itself, I don't remember a day of college. Not because I didn't party, but because I was a terrible student. I don't remember a day of college. I think what we're saying is the same, but
Right.
your liberal arts degree argument is not really making that much sense to me.
Okay. So I want to make the sense in the fact that I think that degree shouldn't even be offered.
I think computer science shouldn't be offered. I mean,
I could actually agree with that. I actually agree with that. I don't think computer science should be
math?
offered.
What do you need math for? I don't know. What do you need?
Well, you do need
for?
math. People still need math. I mean, if your iPhone battery dies and you've got to calculate a tip by 20%, have you seen what happens at a restaurant? Have you ever been in a place where someone's got to add 20% in their head now?
Yeah, but do people really need a PhD in math? I mean, seriously,
how
far can you go?
I think some people
math.
But I think some people need a PhD in math. I think cryptography is a great example of the advancement of cryptography can only be applied through mathematics and formulas. And it takes someone very, very smart. I don't know that you need a college degree per se to do that, but a PhD tends to get people to listen to you because those credentials mean something. So when you read a white paper, and it's so funny, I used to guys, ready for my Gartner rant? Because it's coming. All right. Because you see someone's got writing a report and they've got a PhD or something next to it, and people will be like, well, this person's a PhD, he's super smart. And you're like, no. Let's not assume that because someone has a degree makes them smart.
You know what? Can I just interject real quick? Whenever I see a master's degree, a PhD degree in anything to do with security, you know what my first impression is, or what my first thought is? Wow, you just wasted a ton of money.
I would disagree with that. As I have a master's in IT with an emphasis in information assurance, I would disagree with that. In regards to
yeah. She's laughing at your degree. This is awesome. Olivia, you are officially coming back next week and the week after.
What do you possibly learn? So how long did it take you to get that degree?
It took me a year and a half.
Okay, so a year and a half.
Yes.
What would you have learned being an intern or being at a job in a year and a half?
None of the things that I learned in my master's would have been.
Exactly, that's my point.
No, that's what I'm saying. All the things that I learned would not have been able to be acquired in a year and a half working somewhere, unless it was potentially a government higher up secret program where you're training individuals specifically in this area. Interns today do not learn about the depth of cryptography, do not learn about the foundations of security. They're sent out to do less tasks because people don't believe in their potential.
No. Okay, well, that's a whole separate conversation that I think we do want to get into. However, no, people learn more in 1.5 years on the job than they do working in a SOC than they do with getting a master's or PhD.
Really?
So the only reason people
learn more than I did in my master's. I would disagree with you there.
Chris, let me stop you for a second. Hang on. Let's go back. Why did you do the master's degree to begin with? Yeah. What was the objective?
The objective was to have more in-depth knowledge about the way security is used, applied, and architected within an organization. And I would tell you.
So you were in a position. Learned. I'm sorry?
Book learned knowledge.
Yeah.
No, because I was able to apply everything that I learned within organizations that I've consulted.
Right. Once you got more experience. Sorry to interrupt you, James.
No. Before.
So I think
I'm never being invited back.
Chris, your goal.
No, you're coming back. See, last time it was me.
I don't mind people with different views. Just like James and I have a great time. Like, I don't mind people having different views, but I would disagree with the fact that what you learn in a master's, you could learn in a SOC analyst role, because most SOC analysts at level 1 are tasked with triaging alerts, and they don't fully understand the entire environment that you're in and how security is applied and how to use different behavioral theories to allow users to do things more securely.
Agreed. However, may I ask a question? Agreed with all that. When you graduated with your master's, what job did you get?
I advanced into a security role.
What was the security role?
I was leading a security program consulting for an Azure GovCloud deployment.
So right out of getting your I'm just curious, because typically that doesn't happen, right? So I'm just curious. So right out of getting your master's degree, somebody said, a company gave you a leadership role.
I was already in a leadership role.
Function?
I was already in a leadership role.
Oh, you already had the role.
No, I already had a leadership role, just not in security.
Okay, so I think then this is a bad example then. I mean, because typically when you get a master's in security, right, then you go get your first security job.
Not necessarily, but yes.
Right. So what do those jobs tend to be?
Well, that depends on the level of experience. Are you someone that is already experienced in your career and going back for a master's to get additional knowledge? Or are you a student that's just continuing your educational track and going for a master's?
So my comment, and I should have clarified this because you're absolutely right. When I look at a resume and there's no experience, I should have said this, there's no experience on there. What somebody says is they got their master's and or their PhD in security related field. I think the first thing I think is what a waste of money.
Yeah.
That relates to that.
That's different.
I see exactly what you're saying, and I agree with that. If you have some experience and then you go get your master's and then you come back into a leadership role, absolutely. But if you're one of these people, and I'm going to say it point blank, if you're one of these people who thinks it's better to just stay in school in security, you are barking up the wrong tree. You need to get out there and get experience, however that experience is.
I agree with that. I personally did my bachelor's and my master's while working. I was never a solely education-focused individual. And that's how I think you could become a balanced, rounded candidate.
Yep, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So do you disagree, Olivia, with master's degree in general for people who don't have experience? Do you kind of like
an MBA?
Depends what field you're in.
So if someone, let's just say, studied something general, let's say government relations, and all of a sudden they get a cybersecurity master's.
What are you going to do with that?
Is that even possible?
Yeah, it absolutely is. Yeah. Masters, as long as you've got a bachelor's, you can go to any master's program. Really.
So
it's all money, right? For universities, again, people think like universities are like these innocent, like holy institutions where they bestow knowledge upon you. No, they're not. Those are like the biggest cash cows on the planet, man. I think like Harvard's got billions in the bank. Billions in the bank.
More than, I think their endowment is something like more than X amount of countries. It's something.
It's also upon the student to take in the knowledge and apply it in their roles or in their life, versus just expecting everything to be absorbed and they'll magically get their role. So they have to go out and do effort as well. They can't just absorb the information and expect, I've absorbed a master's and therefore I should be treated like this, or
But they absolutely do. And that's because there's an entitlement that comes with going to a university, right? I've got my master's, and the whole time they're like, you're going to leave here and people are going to be chasing you down the street. Recruiters are going to be calling you off the hook. People like Renee are going to be chasing you like, please interview for this role. Please bestow your awesomeness and greatness and all this knowledge that you have into this organization. And then they realize that they're applying for a SOC analyst role with a master's, right?
They can't get.
Because they can't because
I would definitely never recommend someone with a master's apply for a SOC analyst role.
How many people have we had on this show, Chris?
I
that have
understand.
had masters or were like going to get more certs, and they couldn't even get a SOC analyst role, doing a mid-career transition.
Wow.
How many people did we like? Let me take you back a year and a half ago
It's
when
the
we
same
were doing
thing
a
for the
resume.
CISSP. You have people that go out and get a CISSP after being in the field for X number of years, and then expect that the CISSP is going to magically get them a role either.
I
Well,
think
I
people
don't-
are
I think,
just
but there's more to a CISSP than
Yeah.
there is to a college degree.
Yeah.
Like you're
I
almost
would-
better off.
I would
Like you're almost better off
prioritize
like finishing high school and going and getting a Security Plus cert and going and becoming a SOC analyst at 19.
Yes, well, that's a different story,
right?
But
Then you are.
Within the masters that I did, we covered all the domains within the CISSP, and I completed my master's before I did my CISSP, and it was like a review for the CISSP that I did before it. So it's this. I look at it the same way. Unless you
So
have
what
the
you're essentially
experience.
saying is the university you went to took the CISSP handbook, built a course, made it a master's, said, "Hey everyone, come here, take this
I
shit."
didn't. No, I
Right?
didn't
Pay
say
us,
that.
pay us 5 figures.
That was
maybe
just a
6
part of the
even,
program,
right?
That was just a part of the program.
I mean, where's my CISSP book? It's somewhere here.
Oh, it's that doorstop.
I typically use it like as weight on papers I don't want to fly off, right? Because it's just so
Nothing will blow away under that thing.
Yeah, nothing blows away on that book. Nothing. My 3-month-old can't move anything when that book's on top of it. I don't know where that.
You know what?
Oh, there it is.
Can I just say
So is the NIST 8353.
Look at how many trees died for this.
And why did you buy it?
Because I needed to have the book. Like that's like I am like, dude, I've got a library here and I've got a bigger one upstairs because I still order my books. Like I love the smell of paper.
He loves
Do you read them?
under his pillow for osmosis.
But do you read them? Or do you just put it on your head and expect it to come down?
So here's what I do. I open the book and I go to sleep next to it. And I've been told that what your brain absorbs more while you're sleeping than when you're awake.
But can I just say something here? All of this doesn't matter. And I'll tell you why. School, certificates, experience, knowledge. When this is my thing, I meet a lot of young people who are new in this field. And I know right off the bat, and I think all 3 of you know as well, who's going to be successful. And I'll tell you why. And I want to know if you agree with me. I have hired people who have 0 experience, 0 certs, 0 knowledge, because there's something in their eyes that says they're absolutely nuts about security. There's a little bit of shine and a gleam there when they start talking. And you're like, because my thing is, and I don't mean to offend anybody, every single person who has been in this field for a very long time is a little bit off their rocker. We're all a little, come on now, admit it, admit it. So when you see young people and they have that little bit of a glimmer and you're like, I know exactly that you're going to be
just the right person for it. Yeah,
you mentioned something, and I had a debate earlier on LinkedIn with someone, and I wanted to bring it up in this forum. You mentioned you saw a glimmer in their eyes. Yeah. How important is, in this time of COVID, where everything is remote and virtual, having a face-to-face with someone virtually?
Oh no.
So no. Would you hire someone without seeing them as part of the interview process?
No, I would not, because I want to see that sparkle. I don't care if you're purple. I don't care. I don't care what you look like. I don't care. But I want to see that spark.
But body language is important, right? The sparkle is body language.
But there was something, I just brought on an intern, and I love her. And she reached out to me. She saw me on some podcast, some woman's security webcast thing. Dave Security or something. And somebody wanted me on the panel. And so she reached out to me on LinkedIn and she said, I'm really impressed. I just graduated from school, Can we talk? And I said, sure, right? Because, that's my sweet spot. And she has a little bit of that. And so I thought of her, and she wasn't right for the junior role that I was hiring for. But about 2 weeks later, I was like, I want her as an intern. I know I want this person, however I can get her. And so I reached out and said, would you be open to that? It's a paid internship, but would you be open to that? And she said, yes. So there's something to be said. You've got to go for these people who have this glimmer in their eye.
Well, Olivia, I saw your post the other day. And
oh my gosh, that thing is crazy.
It got like 12,000 likes or something like that. I don't know. I can't see the views, but I saw the likes and I was just like, whoa.
It's like 15,000. No, it's like 850,000 views, 450 comments. That was this morning. I am the lead. I mean, I am not a social media person. I mean, and I've gone viral, which is nuts.
Yes, you did. Because it sparked, I mean, it goes to show once again, to all of these points. And Olivia, you can talk about the post. Well, actually, before we talk about the post, let me put up some comments here because people are having a blast. Will says, this is totally a quote, I'm grabbing the popcorn episode, guys. Nothing wrong with a little healthy debate. That's why I said we have to have Olivia come back often. She is a barrel of fun. Will says, I still like the idea of rebranding, quote, soft skills as essential skills. I think it was proposed by one of you guys previously, which is true. It's absolutely necessary. David Ruiz at some point said, my first thought is I bet they use password 1234. I think Chris was making a comment. Dutch says knowledge, skills, experience, competency, and mastery are different things. And it's possible to do simultaneously or to do in different paths.
Yes.
He's
totally
always
agree
so
with that.
thoughtful. Mm-hmm. Dutch says so that's a competency, Olivia. Drive for results and self-learner are competencies. Those are separate but affirmative to knowledge, IT skills.
Additive. Let me hang on. Let me disagree there with Dutch for just a second. All right. Because I think that if you have that, you're just off the balance just a little bit, as Olivia was so eloquently pointed out. We're a little bit crazy. We're a little bit not normal per se. There's such a thing as normal, right? And so that drive, that lack of that you gain that because you have that passion for it. You've got that drive, that desire to be curious, right?
I mean, the eternal curiosity.
Yeah. I mean, we get complacent, man. I can't tell you, like, I just posted yesterday, my 3-month-old kid is like really reignited my curiosity. It's like obsessed with like ceiling fans, right? Like he sees a ceiling fan and he's like, holy shit, look at that thing spin. What are those? Are those wings? How does that all work? Is it going to fall down on me? What's it going to do?
You have a very intelligent 3-month-old to be thinking this,
right? And he's like staring at it. He's trying to touch it. If I hold him up, he'll like reach for it to grab it, right? And I'm like, okay, all right, curious kid. And I'll put other things in front of him, and he's very curious, and everything goes in his mouth at this point, right? He's figured out motor skills, grab, hold, bring, which is a problem. Right, because everything ends up in his mouth at some point, and it's just like, no, some stuff should not go there. But his curiosity really kind of reignited my own curiosity, because we get complacent. You get into the CISO role, you get into the leadership role, and your curiosity goes away because you're dealing with everything else that's around you. You're so surrounded by everything. You're so inundated. I think most CISOs play politics than they do security. Right, you're trying to navigate the complexities of an organization that you're not really you don't get to play master laboratory. You don't really, you're a day in the SOC for you is not even a day in the SOC. It's like, all right, what are we dealing with? What's efficiency? What's progress? How are our systems working? And then you're out of there. And so, so it reignited my curiosity. It really has, because my kid's been like one of those things that's been like, yeah, I need to be more curious. I need to spend more time being more curious than just, wearing, and being, the role, the title, the job that comes with it.
I have 2 questions for Olivia. The young lady who is the intern, what undergraduate degree does she have? Or does she have a master's?
She's going to undergraduate. And honestly, I couldn't tell you what it was. Don't care. I have no idea, to be honest.
Okay. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
And then secondly, the post obviously resonated with so many different people. You've hired folks without all of the 99 requests that people put on job descriptions and all this craziness. What would you say to your peers? Like, why do you think that this is still happening, so many years later? I mean, Chris and I started this podcast because this is what we were up against. So it always boggles my mind, like why people haven't figured out to start doing this. I mean, what do you think?
Well, I'm going to tell you point blank what it is, because I know what it is. We don't have a talent gap. We have a lazy set of experienced security professionals and leaders. I'll tell you exactly what it is. People don't want to train. So we have uncountable numbers. I mean, it's disgraceful numbers of young people who are graduating or not even going to school, who are just trying to get their foot in the door, and they will take anything to get into security. They are driven, they are dedicated, but for some reason, everybody wants somebody with 1 year, 2 year, 3 year experience. And you know what? You ain't gonna get it, because there's nobody out there with that level of experience, because people are too lazy to bring people in as interns. And
well, it's ROI, Olivia. I think what you're talking about is the ROI of bringing young people in. And I've been in different companies, right? Like you have.
Yeah.
And so, we have some organizations that are all about, bringing young, curious talent in and kind of, helping them grow within the company. And really, make sure they fit the culture, and we'll teach them the skills. But let's get them first fitting the culture. Right. But then you've got others who are more like, we don't have time to waste. Right. And I think this is the difference that I think is a challenge for many CISOs. And I kind of want to point this out specifically to the difference between hiring people and outsourcing. Right. If you don't have the time to groom, and you're in an organization that says, we need this done tomorrow, and you need the experience, outsource. Go to one of the big firms, go to an MSSP, say, this is the work I need, scope it out, have them bring the people, get it done. For everything else, try to find, the young, hungry talent that you can work with and grow in and build with, and build a security program with, and watch them grow in the ranks. Because what's a mark of a good CISO? And if you ever want to see that, like, there's nothing better. Watch a CISO leave an organization, then watch the amount of leaders that follow that person to where he's going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right?
I agree with that.
Like,
I agree.
I know some organizations where they'll reach out, and they're trying to replace a CISO, and a recruiter will call me and be like, "Hey, we want to," they want to interview you for this role, and I'll know the CISO who left there, and I know the attrition that's about to follow. And you're like, yeah, I'm not up to jumping into that pool's going to be toxic for about 2 to 3 quarters. That's just not the right role for me at this point. Because that CISO that was there previously that left, he's going to be, people are just going to quit and leave. He or she, or they, or them, or,
they're going to quit and leave with them. Yeah, they're going to follow them around, because this industry is all about trust.
Yep. And it's all about knowing how to work together.
Yeah.
And if you're a CISO and you see your career path as being a leader, even if you're a VP, even if you're a director of security operations in an organization, let's say you're second line CISO reporting, you don't even report directly to the CISO. But if you see yourself as being a future leader, building that trust within your team and developing those people and bringing them in with that experience and investing in training them is going to be really, really rewarding. And smart CISOs will empower their directors and managers to do just that, meaning that'll be part of their KPIs. It'll be part of their annual review. It'll be part of their compensation. How many people did you bring in train, and how many of them are with the company 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, 36 months? How many of them are moving with you as you move along, meaning you're getting promoted, you're promoting the people you're bringing with you, and now you've got really a hierarchy of sorts.
And so I also want to address, you're absolutely right. And I also want to address, I think it was your comment, James, about people not having enough time to train or whatever. You know, honestly, my calendar looks like somebody threw up on it every morning. I can't even, I literally spend so much time just double booking, undouble booking doubles and triples. I mean, I still have 30 minutes a day that I have to help somebody, to train somebody, to talk with somebody. I still have 30 minutes a day. I don't buy this too busy. I don't buy it. That means you're in your head. You think you're overly important. You're not.
Well, so what I mean by, so let's define training and actually building a relationship with someone. What you're talking about is what I like to call the kind of like the 1 minute manager or the 5 minute manager, right? The concept of you're able to really develop relationships in very little time. You don't have to do the 3 hour kind of like introspective, you know, let's talk about every single bad and good thing that's happened in our lives. And like, you can do stuff in 15 minutes. That's why like my Calendly, people always laugh because I've got like an espresso meeting and a double espresso meeting. I'm making a single espresso. It takes me about 15 minutes to make it and drink it. That's how long our meeting should last, right? And I can train someone in 15 minutes.
Yes.
I'm not supposed to give them the answers.
Yes.
I'm only supposed to point them in the directions for them to go find the answers because as Olivia pointed out, if they've got that sparkle, if they've got that passion, if they've got that curiosity, then all they want from me is not the answer. They want to know how they can go and find it.
And that's the difference between like a coach leader and a teacher leader. A teacher leader wants to spend the time to share all the information and tell them how to do it. A coach leader will expect them to come with the problem and come with solutions, and you help guide them. Or like if they're going really off course, maybe you'll correct them a little bit. But other than that, you're the ones running with the solution because they have ownership in it, and you're going to deliver on that.
Comments. David Ruiz says, I'm hungry for continued growth as a security professional reaching for the clouds. That's one of the reasons I love CISO Thursdays. Lots of great points of views and information. That's why we love it too. Dutch says, James, you might get value from the Curious Advantage podcast.
I don't have time for any more podcasts.
He doesn't have time.
I do 3 of my own, right? Like I've got like how many more? Like, and I listen to maybe like 2 a week, right? Like that I enjoy listening to. And, you know, Joe Rogan podcast is like a 3-hour podcast, man. That's like 7 other podcasts.
Exactly.
Maybe if you listen it on 2x, you could shave an hour and a half off.
I do. I try to listen on 2x, but like the one with Jordan Peterson that went like 4 hours now, like there's no way I could listen to 2x. Like it's like I love to like every word that Jordan Peterson says, I like to analyze and just listen to his answers. Like Jordan Peterson's a fascinating thinker and speaker. The guy speaks with purpose. And so very few people are able to speak with purpose on topics, and he does.
So Will says, in my opinion, there's not really such a thing as laziness. It's about motivation or lack thereof. If you CBA to get off the sofa, you probably will if I set the sofa alight.
You're so much nicer than I am, Will.
Like, so fancy. But I think James made a comment that was what I was actually going to say something very similar to Will with when a person, Olivia, when they say, I don't have the time. Well, if it's in the performance review or if it's tied to a bonus, you know, all of a sudden the time appears.
Yeah.
It all appears. So then Dutch says, James, Olivia, you said you have time.
Olivia just said you have time. I do have time. But let me tell you something. You can't listen to a podcast and coach someone simultaneously. I'd like to be able to do that, but you can't.
That is correct. But for example, there is I don't have time, and then there's I have time to prioritize different things in my life, like watching my baby look at the ceiling fan and enjoying time with them.
Yeah.
There's I don't want to prioritize this at this point in my life, but maybe in a couple of years, I'll prioritize this. And then you choose at what time in your life you want to prioritize learning. Some people prioritize learning as a small part in a daily investment. Others will say, no, at this point in my life, I want to enjoy what I have. Then they get bored and then they go, okay, well, I want to learn more. And they'll go out and do a project or go do something else.
I think there's so much that we get asked and pulled into as CISOs and as cybersecurity professionals. I can't tell you how many emails I get. And while we're here in an hour, right, my LinkedIn is like people listening to this or on YouTube going like, hey, I just heard you say this. You know, we should really talk about this awesome solution we're doing right now. And it's great. There's really, you don't even need people to manage it. It manages itself. It's so smart. It just needs a computer and electricity. Right?
Awesome. That means I can go do something else.
Yeah.
Like, let this thing coach the people. Oh my God.
That's great.
No, but seriously, like we get inundated with so much stuff that it's really David Nolan, and I think Olivia, you know David, right?
Yeah,
So David and I, we always compare notes of our spam filters on our corporate email, right? Like, how strict is it? What are the keywords we're updating that gets you banned for a year, that gets your domain blacklisted?
Webinar.
Right? Webinar, that's interesting.
Webinar.
Mine is Zero Trust.
Zero Trust is another good one. Yeah, Zero Trust.
Well, Olivia, if
Single pane of glass.
had webinar, then you might not be on the
I'm sorry, Chris. What were you saying?
Y'all.
I could go on all day. Sorry, go on, Chris.
We're very close to a webinar, so I wouldn't ban that word, but I see your point.
Yeah, you see my point.
Because it's a sale, you know, it's all sales emails.
Yeah.
This has been so much fun. Oh my gosh. This
Really,
is
the
like,
hour has gone by.
it's literally, I'm just sitting here watching. I'm like, I don't even have to say anything this time. Like, I just
And you didn't even let me go on my diatribe about that post.
Well, talk about it. Let's go. Let's hear it.
You need to come back.
Wrap it up. We have a couple minutes. Let's wrap up the diatribe about your post.
Okay, so I'll be very honest. I had a couple glasses of wine. Whatever.
That's how every good story starts.
I'm a CISO equals alcohol, right? So I saw somebody's post, and it was somebody I knew, and they were looking for a security analyst. I'm going to say this very quickly: a security analyst with 2 to 3 years experience. And I was just like, I am done. I am tired. So if you look at the post, it's like, I'm sorry, I'm tired. And I'm like, if I'm this way, I don't know how you security newbies feel. And I go off about how not everybody has opportunity to get schooling and internships and networking and all this stuff. And I'm like, let's just do better. And I just thought it was an innocent post because I post stuff all the time. You know, I try to rile feathers and just say the truth. I speak out for people who can't speak out. That's my thing. So I rile feathers all the time. That night I had I think 1,500 likes. I mean, it was insane. I mean, it just keeps growing every day. And I'm not one of those people who likes that kind of attention. So it's actually disconcerting for me. And I've gotten all these connection requests and like, I can't even count how many emails. And to me, that's very like invasive to me. I haven't even looked at them really, but to me, it's too much. But it's my point here is that it obviously touched a nerve because it's true.
It's true. It's
and
ridiculous.
I said, the other thing I said was 2 to 3 years is an engineer. It's not an analyst. This is why people can't get entry-level jobs because of people like you who post job descriptions like this.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Hey, have you seen the CISO roles where they want 25 years experience to be a CISO, a master's, and a PhD and a doctorate and a White House job and a stint in Congress, and then we'll hire you to be our CISO.
But even requiring like 15 years of cybersecurity experience when 15 years ago there was barely a cybersecurity field, like, how do you expect to find anyone?
I've been in security for like 21, 22
Well,
years.
there's a difference
More than
between
15 years, I think.
there's a difference between like having the experience and doing it in a sysadmin role and a developer role, but it wasn't formally described as a field that long ago. When was the first CISO role?
The CISO role, I think, is new, but the security has been, information security has been around before I even got into it. And
Yeah,
years
it
ago.
was information assurance, and it was mostly focused on the physical aspects of information rather than the digital aspects of information.
I don't know. In 2005, I mean, HIPAA came out. PCI was around that time too. I got the CISSP in 2005, so that's 17 years ago.
It's been
Okay.
around.
God,
Focus in
I'm off it with my
financial
numbers.
services, things like
Oh,
that.
sorry, I feel old now.
You think you feel old?
Well, folks, this has been a blast. Before we leave, I have to talk about tomorrow. This was so much fun. Like, I enjoyed just sitting here and watching and listening and not having to say much at all. But tomorrow I am hosting a fundraiser starting at 9 a.m. and it's new year, new career. Everyone come and watch it. It's starting at 9 a.m. Eastern. It's going to go on all day. We have tons of great topics, including your usual standard, resume, careers, communicating like an executive, job hunting like a hacker with Jason Blanchard, which is awesome. We have Rod Eddings coming with he has something cool to talk about, networking on LinkedIn. I mean, just tons and tons and tons of great stuff. So please check out my feed tomorrow. It's going to be, believe it's going to be half on LinkedIn and YouTube, and then the rest of it will be on YouTube because we can only stream on LinkedIn for a few hours. But it's starting at 9 a.m. Eastern. It's all day. Oh, and Chris Roberts is going to be there too. It's going to be fun. And these two characters are going to be there.
Okay.
You don't get me and Chris on the same
headliners.
feed. If you get me and Chris on the same feed, it's hijacked. It's done.
It'll be like this, which is fantastic. Then I can go to the bathroom or something.
Whenever Chris and I get on a call, we'll schedule 30 minutes and then we end up canceling 7 other calls thereafter because we're just.
Well, what about this? What about that? What about this? So that'll be good. Will says, great show, guys. Thanks as always. And David says, great show and thank you. See you next week. See you tomorrow, David. Tomorrow and then again next week. So thank you so much, Olivia. Please come back. Please come
I'll
back.
always come back. It depends.
You're always welcome. You're always welcome. We love this. We love all of this fun. Thanks everybody for being here. See you next week at another CISO Thursdays, but see you tomorrow on my feed for the fundraiser. New year, new career, get a new job. Like Olivia said, you don't need degrees, multiple, all that other good stuff. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Bye.
Bye.